Welcome to CS2 Limited's Masterclass on National Certification for Data Protection Officers. Module 1, Key Stakeholders and Roles, Case Study Discussions, led by Rex Abitogun, was recorded on January 20, 2025, at the e-Government Training Center, Abuja. This series is
data subject, or as related to data protection and privacy. Sorry. Your organization? Sorry? Okay. You want to speak? Okay, go ahead. Okay, we are picking NIDA as a case study. Do we all agree that we should pick NIDA as a case study? Do we all agree? Okay, so as it relates to data protection and privacy in NIDA, can we identify the stakeholders? Sorry, NDPC. Okay, why NDPC? Regulator. So it means number one, we have regulator as a key stakeholder. All right? And when we talk about stakeholder, we are talking about people with vested interest in data protection and privacy. So any activity that you are doing around data protection and privacy, think of the people that are involved. Think of the people that your actions could affect or your processes could affect. So we talk about NDPC. And NDPC is what? The regulator, right? Okay, number one, yes. The staff. Okay. Tell me, why do you pick the staff? Data subjects, right? Data subjects. Okay. Data subjects. And you will get to understand how these stakeholders, especially when you are doing your data protection impact assessments on the product that you want to launch, on an existing product. So you talk about data subjects, yes? Any other stakeholder? Yes, sir. The data processor, all right? Data processor, because now when you say data processor, data controller, somebody want to, there's a close relationship, but there's difference. Can somebody help us? Yeah, there's a mic there, please. Data processor gather the data and monitor it. Okay, all right. That's one of you. Can somebody? Yes. Let's say from another person.
So I want to use, let's say, line post as an example.
Okay. Are you from my post? Or you're taking away from leader? You see all this? These organizations, they have a way of promoting their own. Okay, yes, let's hear from you.
So now, either the staff or the customers, they are data subjects.
Okay.
Now, line post itself is the data controller.
Okay.
The one that is collecting those data.
Mm-hmm.
Now, line post may have another company that is processing something for line post.
Okay.
That will start, for example, like all these our health insurance.
Okay.
So they pick data from the post and they process it from other purposes. So they are data processing.
Okay. Does that make sense? Do we all agree? Okay, you want to add to it? Okay.
So in the context of data controller and data processor, in my own understanding and what I have already accepted from the act, that the controller decides what kinds of personal data that is needed for such processing. Why the processor is the one that puts the processing of that data which the controller has already collected or decided that it is an essential data to process into the processing act. And I'm trying to get it together. They do the processing and also put the systems in place that is used for such processing of the personal data being collected. Thank you.
Okay. So can we have data controller serving as a data processor?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so for example, if I go to NIDA on my post or NCC, and just at the entrance of the gate, I was told to write my name and my phone number. How many of us have experienced that? We all experience it, right? Okay, so when you get there, what comes to your mind? All right? So in that case, what's NIDA, NCC, NIPOST, what are they doing? They are collecting data, right? All right? So when they collect that data, for example, I want to track the number of visitors that come into an organization. All right? And we now decide to say, okay, fine. We have consultancies. We need you to help us analyze this data and give us a report on it. In that case, what's consultancy? Data processor. Okay, if we now say, oh, we have a data management unit or data governance, and we want that department or the IT department to analyze the inflow of visitors to our organization. What's happening in that case? So is it making sense now? Good, good. So in a situation where you have NDPC now write a note to NCC or to NIPOST saying that we want to know the measures we put in place when you have visitors to write their names at the gate. What's NPC doing? Regulator, all right? Regulator. So, and I'm breaking this down because somebody talked about that the processor or the controller, thank you, that the controller defines how the data should be used. Yes, that's fine. But we need to understand that because if I collect data, there's a reason why I collect the data. I want to track movement. So I can tell the processor to say, okay, this is the information that I'm interested in. I want to know the number of times that a particular person, a particular phone number appears on that register. All right? Even though oftentimes we have those attendance registers just being dumped everywhere and nobody ever came. All right? So the attendance register, in fact, the security man that tells you to write does not even know why it's there. So this is like an action or a feedback that you are taking back to your organization because most times they don't even know why they're there. So the issue of data protection, data privacy is more than the way we see it, and we need to take it very serious. I was sitting down here. Just look around. What can you see? What can you see that relates to? Look around. What can you see that you think relates to privacy issues? Camera? How many of us have observed that there's a camera here? Oh, you are just seeing it. You are just seeing it. You saw one is here. All right. What is the implication of that in the context of data privacy? So there's a camera that is collecting data. And remember earlier on we talked about different types of data. We talked about physical data. All right. We talked about biometrics. You can have facial identities captured. All right. But don't you think it would be nice to have like an inscription that you are being monitored? All right, so you can now decide to stay inside the hall and go out. So if tomorrow you are called to perform data audit, what will you recommend? Right? That they should have a sign. So these are, I'm trying to bring it down to our level so that you understand, because I've seen cases where people say, oh, when you talk about it, why would they write to us to say you want to offer data or data privacy audit? These are critical issues. All right? And the implication is that with the way things are going, I'm sure a lot of us have seen a video circulating that when you are taking selfie, don't allow your tongue to show. The same way somebody can pick your picture here and use it for different things. All right? So now when we are not talking about stakeholders as it relates to this, so I try to get us to think beyond what we see. But beyond that is that there are still other stakeholders that is not mentioned here. The ministry, as parent body, they are stakeholders. Do you agree? Right? So why do you think, what is their role in this whole circle? Because the act didn't mention it, and the slide did not even talk about it. And possibly you will just limit it to, oh, the key stakeholders are controller, processor, data subjects. All right? But the ministry equally make policies. And the policies that relate to data processing in our country will be discussed by the Honorable Minister and the Federal Executive Council. So there are some decisions that can be taken that will affect organizations in the country. All right? If you take it further, if you take it to maybe the health sector, we equally talk about the subject matter experts, like the medical doctor, like the nurses, all right? Like health record officers that collect those data. They are all stakeholders. So when we talk about stakeholders, you need to take it deep down and understand. For example, I mentioned the security officers that will tell you, stop, who do you want to see? All right, if I'm coming to the office now, I'm sure the first thing is, let me call her if she's in the office, right? So that's another stakeholder. So when you are doing your stakeholder analysis, or when you are trying to understand who and who, first look at this thing that we're doing as it relates to privacy in our organization. Who are the people with interest, vested interest? And who are the people that the reports of the privacy exercise will equally affect? So here we have the regulator, we have the controller, we have the processor, okay, and also we talk about data subjects. Then there are other actors along the line that can equal, depending on the nature of project or the nature of the organization that is involved. So I have an assignment that I'm going to give to you, which we're going to discuss possibly tomorrow or next, depending on the schedule for my next engagement. So, are we making sense? Are we learning something new? Are we bringing it closer to our environment? Okay. So, an organization, okay, in this context, we're going to take NIDA. Please, you can write it down. NIDA as an IT development agency. NIDA as an IT development agency. NIDA as an IT development agency is interested in building capacity of a staff and is seeking to also collaborate. Is seeking to collaborate with Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC for short, to have an e-learning solution for staff development. As DPO, you have been saddled with the responsibility of advising NIDA on issues relating to privacy and protection of data subjects on this initiative. Identify, so this is the task now. Identify the stakeholders involved. Yes, please. On issues relating to privacy on the project. On issues relating to privacy on the project. I mean, of the project. Privacy on the project, sorry, on the project. So as a DPO who has just been certified by NDPC, identify the stakeholders involved in this project and how identify the stakeholders involved in this project and how you can strengthen the organization data protection practice. Okay, so I just put that thing down. Can somebody help us to read it out so that if anybody, in case anybody misses it, you can get it right? Anybody? Anybody? Yes. I'll give our mic.
NITSA as an IT development agency. NITSA as an IT development agency is interested in building capacity of its staff and is seeking to also collaborate with NDPC to have an e-learning solution for staff development. As a DPO, you have been saddled with the responsibility of advising NITSA on issues relating to privacy of the project.
On the project, not of the project, on the project.
I said on, or maybe I said
on. Okay.
It's on.
Yes, good.
As a DPO who has just been certified by NDPC, identify the stakeholders in this project and how you can strengthen the organization's data protection.
Good. Do we get that? So in case you miss any line, thank you for helping us out. I put those things together while standing here. So some stakeholders were mentioned. We'll talk about some roles here, but you will not get 100% score if you just restrict yourself to the organizations you mentioned. So it means that you need to equally think beyond what was dictated here. All right? There are other stakeholders that are involved. Okay? For example, you want to develop an e-learning platform. You will have developers come in. All right? And there's what we call privacy by design. All right? So there are some other things that goes into it. So we'll see again in either tomorrow or next, and we'll discuss it. But put it together, send it to info@consultancies, all right? Just 100 to 150. Put info@consultancies.com, all right? You get it? Tag it as stakeholder assignment. Stakeholder assignment. So are we good? Are we good? Is it because of the homework? Yes. Yes, info@consultancies.com. This is double S. All right? So just by the time we receive it, right? Table. This case study, the output of this case study, I'm tying it to the assignment. So there's a classwork. They're going to send it to info@consultancies. So you collect it and we'll discuss it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hello? Hello? Hope the lunch is not making us to be healthy. Okay, can we just be upstanding, please? Can we be upstanding, please? Thank you. Can we be upstanding? Just stretch. Breathe in, breathe out. Stretch. Breathe in, breathe out. Just stretch. Just stretch. Okay, while we're doing that, group 1 on my left, group 2 in the middle, group 3 on my right, group 4 at the right. Just take those seats that are those 3 standing seats. Group 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me tell us what we're going to do. Okay, so you have your papers with you. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. Okay, so I'm going to make this paper. I'm going to look at to understand what each group is doing. So for group 1 says ransomware attack at an educational institution. The university in Nigeria is hit by a ransomware attack, encrypting all its student and staff records. The hackers demand payment for the decryption key, threatening to leak data if the ransom isn't paid. Then they have 3 questions to answer. 3 questions to answer. That's for group 1. Then for group 2, sorry, can you just read this? Group 2 says unauthorized data sharing by an e-commerce platform. An e-commerce platform collects customers' personal data, names, phone numbers, purchase history, and shares it with third-party advertisers without their consent. Complaints from the customers prompt regulatory scrutiny. There are 3 questions for you guys to respond to. So group 3. Where's group 3? Okay. Group 3 says employee data leak in a corporate organization. A corporate HR department accidentally sends a spreadsheet containing employee salaries, medical conditions, and personal contact details to an external vendor. The leak causes discontent and raises concerns about privacy breaches. You have 3 questions as well here. Group 4. Okay, so it says cybersecurity incidents at a health tech startup. A Nigerian health tech company expressed a breach in its mobile app, exposing sensitive patient data, including health records and prescription histories. Patients expressed outrage, and the company's operations at risk. Also 3 questions. So let me just tell us what we're going to do. So each group needs to discuss and answer those 3 questions. Somebody's going to present to us when we are done. So you need to have a chairman or cheerleader.
The CS2 Masterclass for National Certification Training of Data Protection Officers is presented by Consultancy Support Services, CS2 Limited in partnership with the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC.